Okay, welcome everybody. Thank God for my handy dandy business manager, Caden, my son, because he's the one who reminds me to record. I'm Nancy Gansekofer, business coach to interior designers and other creative entrepreneurs. And I'm here with Michele Williams of Scarlet Thread Consulting. Michele, you have the title of the Profit Building Coach. I love that title. Why don't you say hi to everybody while they're coming on?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here with you today.
Yeah, this is exciting. People were really excited about the two of us together, which I think is why we got such a high registration. This is such an important topic on how to make their design businesses more profitable. And Michele and I first spoke for the first time a month ago?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and realized how much we had in common and how much we wanted to teach you guys. So let's just take care of a little business first for all those attendees. When you are chatting with us, it says to, and right now it might say all panelists. I just want to make sure that you drop that down and turn it to all panelists and attendees. This way everyone can see what you're asking us, so that everyone can learn from the questions being asked and the comments and things like that. So open up your chat box first. It's the little circle. You can click on that. And then once it's open, you go on the down arrow and you change it to all panelists and attendees. In addition, you have a Q&A box. I'm going to open that up right now. It's sometimes if the chat's going really hot and heavy, it might be hard for Michele and I to keep up with questions. So if you can, if it's a specific question about what we're talking about, please put it in the Q&A box. And if you're just kind of like making comments in general, you can put that in the chat box. So welcome everyone. Do me a favor and let me know that you can hear us and that you can see us. Just say, yes, we can hear you. Yes, Heather, thank you, Heather. Heather, change it to all panelists and attendees, and here they come in. Are you seeing this, Michele?
Right.
Great. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Marie. Forgive me if Okay, some people are putting comments in the Q&A. So the Q&A box is for questions and answers, and the chat box, which is the little circle that says chat, you can open that up, and that is for the chat and to respond to us as we're speaking. So welcome everyone. I see some people are raising their hand. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're just playing with that. But for now, we're just going to get started. So this is, again, the 8 ways to make your design business more profitable. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. She said love and hugs. Okay, so we're going to get right started here because we have a lot to talk about. So how this is going to work is Michele and I are going to alternate. We kind of brainstormed on some of the things we want to teach you. And of course, this is only a drop in the bucket. And we do a lot of our teachings in our private Facebook group. So Michele, tell everyone the name of your private Facebook group.
So the private Facebook group that I work in and talk a lot in is Build a Profitable Business for Interior Designers and Workrooms.
So everyone should go over to Facebook, and Caden, the assistant who's in the clouds here, will put that link in there for you guys soon. And my group is called Actionable Entrepreneurs. You can actually go to actionableentrepreneurs.com and it'll take you into my private Facebook group. So if you're not there, please join both of us in our Facebook groups. We both do a lot of training in there, extra training, extra communications, and give a lot of value. So we'd love you to be there. So, okay, Michele, are you ready? Big topic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So my tip number 1, which a lot of my clients already know, and people who follow me in my group, but it's really important to make you more profitable, is to charge for your initial consultation. Amen, right? I can't tell you how many people first start coaching with me or speak with me, and I'm sure it's the same with you. They don't charge. And I understand it. I've heard other people say, no, it's just a meet and greet. You just want to get to know the people and see if we're a good fit. And I'm saying, you know what? You're still getting in your car. You're still going there. They're still asking you questions that you're trying not to answer when you're only giving a half an hour free, right? You got this whole thing, well, I can't answer that because they didn't pay me yet. And it's that whole mentality. And what I'm suggesting is actually charge a good rate, 90 minutes to 2 hours of your time. Give freely of your information. Tell them to have a pen and paper handy to write down everything you're going to suggest. This way you can be yourself. You can show your value. You can show how smart you are. And if they are going to move forward with you or with themselves as do-it-yourselfers or with anyone else, you have definitely saved them time, money, and mistakes moving forward. And doesn't it just feel good to be yourself? You know, remember that people don't always hire you for information. They hire you for implementation. So your ideal client is all about implementation. So charge for your initial consultations. Think about it. There's nothing coming out of that. So that's pure profit. What do you say to that, Michele?
Yeah. So I think I'm a meet and greet gal, but that's like the first 10 minutes on the phone. If I'm coming, I mean, to me, I'm going to meet and greet you over the phone the first 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you, to get to know you. And if I've got great questions to ask up front and my clients have great questions, they're going to be able to weed you in or weed you out right there, right? Not to say that sometimes we're not shocked when we get on site, because that does happen on occasion. You know, it's not foolproof. But I totally agree with you. Listen, everybody's charging for that time somewhere. They're either charging for it up front to the person that they're engaging with, or they're having to lump it in to charge for the people that hire them. Right. And so then the people that hire them are having to actually pay more than the service that they're getting to cover all the time where you're not charging the tire kickers. So I am totally in agreement. I think you charge. You started off at the very beginning the way you want the relationship to go, and that is setting a value proposition for me coming out to your space and having a conversation with you. I wouldn't do it any other way. And I also love what you said, Nancy, about being able to give freely. And that's one of the most difficult things when you engage in something like that. You don't know where, you know, there's a line between meet and greet and now I'm consulting, but we don't always know what it is. And then we're having to self-edit. And then we come across stiff, cocky, or like we're not giving out the information. And then that actually, like you said, doesn't show who we really are. We're not the relational designer or professional that we could be, because we're holding ourselves back so that we're not being taken advantage of. So
yeah, and it comes across, right? Yeah. In everything. In your tone of voice, in your body language. And even if you think it doesn't, it does.
It does. Or you're holding back this really great idea that could mean everything in the project. And so I'd rather just say, just pay me what I'm worth to be here, and then just let me do my thing. Let's be excellent together and move on. And then
I love that.
Later, right?
Yeah, let's be excellent together. You know, I mean, I even do these on my consults now, right? If someone pays me, I'm giving a full 50 minutes, and I'm just literally straight coaching. That's what I want you guys to do. When you're in someone's house, give every idea that's coming to your head. And you know what? If you're a designer who can sketch, you can do a quick sketch for them there. If you're someone who can pick out colors in that time, if that's something they want you to do, you can do all that now because you're being paid. And I like to say the last half an hour, you say, you know, would you like to know how you can work with me going forward? Or by then, they might love you so much and like, okay, tell us how we can work.
The check, right?
Yeah. So anyway, that was my first tip, charge for your initial consultation. So let's go on to tip number 2 from Michele.
All right. You ready? Price for profit. So if we're going to start off like we want to end up and we're going to charge to go out, I want to say we need a price for profit. What does price for profit or for profitability means? The same way that we see quite often people not wanting to charge for that initial consult, I see a lot of charging to just barely cover cost or charging to just break even. And that's only for known cost. Yep. And so then what happens when you get hit with shipping and all these things that maybe you forgot to add in or you just thought didn't matter. But when we're pricing, we not only have to price for the service that we're providing, the product that we're providing, but we have to add in the risk that we're taking, the growth that we want to take. And what was the other thing I wrote down? You can see where my brain's already going like, for all that non-billable time. When I said a minute ago that if you don't charge the client at the consult and then you just are trying to make it up later, you've created that as a non-billable activity.
Exactly.
Somebody's got to pay for that. And so when we're really looking at pricing to profit, and when I say profit, it means it needs to cover your salary. So your income has to cover all cost of goods, all products that go out the door to the client. It needs to cover all business expenses of the company. It needs to pay you a salary, and it needs to have money left over to either give you a bonus for working and owning that company or going back into that company and handling all risk. So if a company is not doing all that, I would say it's not really profitable. Profitable doesn't mean I've got $1,000 net profit, but I didn't get a salary. So I'm talking profit on top of a fair wage and salary for fair work. So the only way to get there is to price for it from the beginning.
Absolutely. You know how many times a day I say, you're not just a creative interior designer loving what you do. You are an entrepreneur. You own a business. You deserve to make a living. And there's this guilt factor with creatives often, and sometimes with other business owners as well, that they just feel guilty charging for what comes easy to them in their eyes, and sometimes just what they love to do. But guess what? You have to pay for your computer, your accountant, your insurance, and like you said, everything that goes into it.
Everything that goes in it. And I mean, but it doesn't just show up in the bank accounts if we don't make a conscious decision to charge for it, and to charge for it fairly. I guess the other part of that goes with your number one and my number two, I want people that engage my services to be the one to pay. I don't want to have to charge more to a few people that engage, because I'm not charging everybody that engages. So if I'm going to work with you a little bit, I'm going to charge you a little bit. If I'm working with you a lot, I'm charging you a lot. But I'm not giving away all that free information on a free consult at the beginning, and then having to make it up, if you will, out of the purse of somebody who's engaging for the long haul. That's not fair to them.
You're right. It's not fair to them. And at the same time, when people, listen, let's talk a little bit about, because it kind of falls into your price for profit. When you're pricing product, everyone is so concerned about being less than what somebody can find on the internet. And I get that. It's definitely part of the equation. But at the same time, this passing your entire discount on to the client and feeling that desire to do that, I want to bang my head on the wall. And I'm not even kidding.
It just makes me feel nauseous, because that's just, if we were to take that particular pricing model and we were to run it to the end, we're all going out of business.
100%.
So you just can't do it. And to me, if we're going in and we're trying to, this is a whole nother can of worms, right? But if we're going in and we're trying to sell that we're cheaper than the internet, okay, seriously, is that what we want to do?
Right.
We want to go in and we want to charge, and we want to set it up completely differently from that. It is an aspect of business, but it should not be our driver.
It's so true. Hey, listen, I want to ask everyone, just weigh in, 2 questions. 1, do you charge currently for your initial consultations? I'm giving them a minute for that. So true. Yes, I do. I charge. Yes.
You're probably going to be afraid to put no after we said all that, though.
Yeah, no, be honest, guys, because I know we've turned a lot of people. I know the coaches out there now are turning a lot of people. I love that. Absolutely. Oh, somebody said I don't. Okay, it's okay. And some of you are still on panelists only, not all panelists. Okay, we got a couple of no's sometimes, but I need to be consistent. Absolutely. For consultations, but not for blind measurements. No. Okay.
Blind measurements, actually, that one can be a little different, just because of that industry can be a little different. But
right. It's kind of like sometimes kitchen.
A conversation around that.
Definitely. 15-minute phone calls free, charge trip out consult, $150 basic, $300 with designs. Not sure what that distinguishing it. 2-hour minimum. That's Allison. Yep. Okay, great. Second question. Do you try to compete with the internet when you're pricing your, well, let me word this differently. Do you price your product for profitability? Is that a fair question, Michele?
Yeah. Do you price to make a profit?
You price to make a profit. Good. Oh, heck yes. Okay. Excellent. 50%, yes, 50% to full retail. The MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail. Yes, but I don't understand all my numbers yet. Okay, fair enough.
You're probably, well, absolutely, you're not alone. So I applaud you for saying it.
Not sure that I do after hearing. Right. So you may also think, like, if you're saying, well, yeah, I add a 20% markup, that's for profitability. Guess what? Michelle and I will tell you that's not nearly enough to be covering your expenses.
Mm-mm.
Okay, not sure. Okay. All right. So we definitely have a mix here of people, but again, you may think you're pricing for profitability. You want to tell them what the right number is for overall profitability to run an interior design business, or you want me to?
Well, I mean, what I usually have them do is your gross profit should be a minimum of 40%. I like it closer to 60. But it needs to be a minimum of 40%. What do you say, Nancy?
I say 40% on the overall job. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end, about knowing your financials and evaluating. So, okay, good. Thank you for the participation, guys. It really helps us figure out where you guys are at. So my next tip number 3, and I see it everywhere. I see it on websites. I see it on questionnaires. I hear people talking about it, and I get it. But I object to the word budget. And I know I'm not, I mean, I could be on an island by myself with this one. But I have to tell you, if I ask somebody, what's your budget? Budget to me makes somebody want to sit on their wallet and go, I don't know, like 20,000, you know, to redo an entire kitchen. They don't, always know what their
for the house.
Right, exactly. They don't know what their budget is half the time, or what it should be, because they're not educated. The word budget is got that connotation of limiting. What I like to say, and I'm making, you know, I suggest strongly to everyone to change to the word investment. Mm-hmm. Have you done your research, and do you know what your investment in this project will be? I mean, think about the definition of investment, or even what you think of when you use the word investment. You think of expansion, right? You're investing in something that's valuable, that's going to expand your life, possibly extend the value of your house, expand your enjoyment. And instead of the word budget, which I really don't know how else to say it, right? Just makes you want to sit on your wallet. It makes you want to just go, oh, they want to know my budget. I better lowball them because I don't want them spending everything I actually have. So Emily said, I say invest or investment because they don't know what anything costs. Right. So I like to say twofold. Have you done your research, and do you know what you'd like to invest in this, or something like that? What do you say, Michelle?
You know and I love, I'm agreeing with you. I'm going to be hanging on the island with you. So you're not alone.
Good.
Here's why I love investment. Budget literally makes them think of money, like you're trying to take their money from them. That sit on the wallet response is very negative. It's very limiting, and it's like there's a ceiling around it, okay? If you think of, like you said, think of the word investment. The reason I like that word is it opens up a larger conversation. Something like this. Let's talk about the investment in this project. How much time do you want to invest in this project? How much overall time are you planning for your like, in other words, are you going to invest your time because there's something you want to shop for it? Are you investing your time like, I'm going to give this project to a 3-month completion? Now let's talk about the financial investment. So then it becomes an aspect of their overall investment, not a singular conversation with a capped budget. Correct. Because we all know that we might say, I want to invest an hour. Oh, you know what? I'm willing to invest another hour because I'm having fun. I'd like to invest 20,000. Oh my goodness, this is going where I want. I'm willing to invest 3 or 4 more thousand. It feels different. Or I hadn't planned on investing any time. I wanted you to do all the running around, but you know what? There's this one artist, and I really think I'd like to go choose that piece of art myself. I'd like to invest some of myself in choosing that. So using the word investment gives you a chance to come to, I would say, a better collaboration between what the homeowner or the client wants to put into the project, time, effort, energy, money, and then what the designer or workroom wants to put in to match time, effort, energy, money. And so you really come to a great meeting place on who's doing what. And I think that's what keeps you off of each other's toes and keeps you from shopping around on the internet, because you're having that conversation as part of the investment conversation.
Yeah, and what you said about you're investing time or you're investing money. Your clients are investing time of their own, or they're investing money to pay you for your time. So
or some combo of all of it, right?
Or some combination of all of it, right? It really is a matter of, and I've said this to some people and it registers. Other people go, huh? It's an exchange of energy.
Always.
It really is an exchange of energy, right? They're putting their energy into their work and making a living. And then they don't want to do what they don't do best. They need help. They know it. And they're going to give their energy to you. So it's all about this exchange of energy on what you feel like doing in your life. Do you feel like learning all about interior design? Right down to every little knob and every little color and every little understanding the way furniture is put together. When it comes to you guys relaying your value and making them understand what they're investing in, that all goes into this. So use the word investment. You've invested your time and your money and your education and your continuing education to learn your profession. And now you're going to ask them to invest in you, right? So investment is the right word, and stop using the word budget.
And you can start the conversation with, you've already invested to have me out here to share my knowledge and expertise.
True.
Let's talk about the further investment on the project. And so that leads me right into mine. Mine is keep up with your time. Yes. Keep up with your time. All right, before I even start, I want to ask, if you will write in, how many of you keep up with all of the time that you spend on client projects?
Well, do you mean actually keeping track of it or charging for it?
Keep track. Not charging is, I'm hoping you did that under the profitability piece. And I'm talking about, do you just keep up with the time that you spend to do what you do for your clients?
Got a lot of no's on that one.
You see that?
Not enough.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about why that is so important. Nancy just brought up this word exchange. And I'm going to say to you that your time is a currency. It is a currency just like money is. So we spend our money out of our bank accounts. We spend our time on our calendar. They're currencies and they're up for sale. Your time is up for sale the minute you walk in, because I cannot tell you how many people have said, oh, I could do that if I had the time. So the minute they tell me that, they've told me time's the currency and we're getting ready to deal in it, right? Because they don't have the time to do it. They're going to pay me to do it. I'm charging. I don't care if they have the same expertise I have. They just told me they didn't have the time to do it. I'll give you a prime example. I can paint. I know how to use a paintbrush. And my husband, that man, I'm telling you, he can make a perfect line around a room. So we are not strangers to painting our own home. We've done it. We've been married 28 years. We've done it a long time, right? But last summer, we needed to paint the entire inside of our house. So it wasn't about skill or expertise. We even have all the ladders. We have all of the product that would be needed. Even have the designer discount to buy paint, right?
That's right.
None of that's a problem for me. My problem is time. Time. So we hired painters to come do it. Not because we couldn't, but because they could do it faster than we could do it. So we did an exchange of money and time. Now, I have many designers in particular who will tell me, well, now that I'm charging flat fees, I don't have to keep up with my time. That's baloney. That's a Southern word that says bull. That's not true, because time is a currency. If we're not keeping up with it on every project, we can't check that profitability that we need to know. And then we always, I have never, ever, maybe there was one time, but I didn't meet this person. Every person I've ever met has always underestimated the time that it would take them. Always. I never have people say to me, oh my gosh, I charged for way too many hours than I think I could spend. That just doesn't happen.
Nope.
And so if we're not keeping up with it, I'm telling you, when you do for the first few times, you will be shocked at how I'm talking. If you pick up that phone and talk to them, if you text them, if you answer an email, it is on their behalf. And if they were not involved in your business, you wouldn't have to do that work. And so the minute they show up in your business and engage with you for this exchange, If you keep up with it and you tell me that you're not making money, keep up with your time and we can make you money. Because you will find out that it's not charging more, it's charging for what you're already doing. And the only way to do that is to know the time you're spending. So even if you move it to a flat rate proposal versus an hourly proposal, yeah, you don't have to give a final accounting to the client, but you need to have it internally so that you can manage your own processes, manage your own efficiency, and make sure that you're pricing to profit.
I can't agree more. I mean, I literally.
Now I'm really going to be on the island by myself, Nancy.
No, I am telling you, it drives me insane when I do this calculation often during a week. So let's say you charge $150 an hour.
Okay.
I have my calculator here, guys. And those of you who know me know what I'm going to do. $150 an hour. And let's say you give up 3 hours a week, because, you know, that took me longer than I thought it was going to take me. And it was really my learning curve. And I feel bad because I didn't meet a deadline that I had promised. So I'm just not going to charge for this particular hour. So let's say you give up 3 hours a week for whatever excuse your mind has made up. That comes to $450 a week to give up 3 hours. Times that by 50 weeks a year, not even 52, because if you're going to take a vacation once in a while. You got $22,500. Did I do that right? $22,500 a year in pure profit that you are just throwing out the window because of the excuses that you
didn't keep up with it.
You didn't keep up with it. I don't have an app. It's really annoying. I know it's so, and listen, trust me, I know it's annoying. It's annoying to track your time. But by not doing it, you're really just taking away from your bottom line.
I tell you what, though, it's annoying before you do it. But when you do it and you make that extra $22,000,
that's true.
Annoying. So let me answer a couple of quick questions over there. As far as tracking it, my first rule of tracking, now listen, I'm a software gal. I worked in software for 10 years, but I'm going to tell you the first way to track it is however you are willing to do it. So if you're willing to do it with pen and paper and you're like, I can't do electronic, I don't care, do it with pen and paper. The goal is that you do it. If you choose to do it a little more electronic, T-Sheets is really great if you have QuickBooks, because T-Sheets was a separate company. Intuit bought them and they've integrated, and you can take and do everything in T-Sheets, set it up on the computer. It will actually queue you, anybody in your office, and then it loads it into QuickBooks. You can load it under a client and bill it straight out. Time Tracker is a great app. There are a lot of different ones out there. I've got multiples on my phone. Oh gosh, there's another one. Do you use any of those, Nancy?
I do not.
Time Tracker is the one. Toggle and Time Tracker, a lot of my clients use, or they're using something like T-Sheets.
There's also a lot of the interior design software programs, right? The project management software programs.
If you stop and input it, but you have to stop and input it on whatever platform you're using, you have to input it. And as part of that keeping up with your time, it's looking at it and saying which piece of this is billable and which piece is not billable. You know, where am I going to control the cost that goes with this? Okay.
Yes. Now, okay, Andrea, I think, is asking.
Yeah, about nickeling and diming them. And I think some of the conversations there, this is going to be a quick answer because that could be, I mean, we could get into a whole session just about that.
Absolutely.
The answer is starting off knowing how you're going to charge your clients and what they're paying to engage. And so what you would do is figure out, are you going to bill them every other week, once a month? How big's the project? And then you just put in there 3 hours for customer communication, text and email. If that's what you spent, that's what you spent. I'll tell you what, if you've got a client that texts you to darn death and it is killing you, you start charging them for those texts and they will back the heck away. They will start to realize they either need to pull it all together in one conversation and get it done, or they're going to realize that this is getting costly. But it's great to start the conversation at the beginning so that you're not being, you don't want to punish them, right? So if you're charging right up front, you're able to give and not feel taken from.
Yes, I call it the pain in the ass factor, right?
Yeah, the clients, yeah.
Right. The bottom line is if they are abusing whatever communication guidelines that you have set forth in your welcome packet or in your letter of agreement, then if you were saying I charge at 10-minute intervals, so a text is 10 minutes. Let's be honest, a text is 10 minutes. By the time you read it,
brain back re-engaged somewhere else.
Exactly. They've now interrupted wherever your brain was. You have to look at it. You have to think about it. You have to respond to it. You may have to respond later. This takes time. So 10, 15-minute intervals, to me, that's perfectly fair. That's if you accept texting, right? So one of the things, and this is, again, I'll just mention it, but we're not going to talk about it, but communication guidelines, right? What are your company rules? So when it comes to texting and emails and phone calls, things like that.
And time of day.
And time of day, right? Before it's 9 o'clock in the morning and on Sundays and after 10 o'clock at night. All these things you have to have well worded and clear in your welcome packet and or your letter of agreement, and stick to it.
That's the thing. Okay, so I just need to pounce on that for a second.
Go pounce away.
It's not enough to write it in your agreement. You have to, number one, you have to explain it to the client. If you care about it, explain it to them and then stand up for it. Because the minute you start breaking that letter of agreement, you've almost opened the door for them to break it. And if you don't start the relationship off the way you want, you cannot go back and change it. Now, all of a sudden, 3/4 of the way in, I'm going to charge you for something that I ignored the first, 3/4 or the first portion. You just cannot do that. So start the way you want to finish every single time. If you write it, do it.
Absolutely. It's kind of like when you're punishing your kids. If you say you're going to do it, you actually have to do it. Otherwise, they're going to slowly realize you didn't really mean it, and you're all talk and no action, right? It's leading your situation. As the CEO of your own company, you need to lead your own situation and run your company the way you want it run. I just want to ask, Darcy said, can you please repeat those 4 words? I don't know when you typed that and what we said. So if you can give us any clarification, who did you want to repeat the 4 words? Michele or I, and maybe what we were talking about at the time, Darcy, we will do that for you. Okay, so on to, and this, my next one kind of falls perfectly into this, is making sure you do a post-job assessment. And what I'm really talking about is to check what your profitability was. Did you charge enough, right? And I'm in agreement with Michele. Flat fee sounds great. Guess what? Flat fee is meant for you to make more money as a possibility of making more money rather than less money, right? So you're covering yourself when you're calculating flat fee. Often you're using your hourly rate and you're figuring out how long you think it's going to take you, and you're coming up with this flat fee. Hopefully you're putting in what my father calls the Jesus Christ factor. My apologies, that's my father.
Contingency factor is what we call it.
What do you call it?
Contingency factor.
Even better. Cushion.
It's borrowed from the construction industry. They've always built in a contingency, and we have to do the same.
So let's say you said it's going to take me 20 hours. I'm just giving any kind of numbers, guys. You're going to add an extra 5 for the contingency factor or the JC factor or the cushion, whatever you want to call it. And now you go through this whole job, and I'm just talking about hours here for now. At the end of the job, you calculate, because you've been tracking like Michele told you to do, and you realize, I put in 40 hours. Between my assistant and I, we actually have 40 hours. When you calculate, you realize you didn't get anywhere near the hourly fee you need to make to be profitable as a company. So my tip is making sure you do that post-job assessment. If you're not doing it on not just the design fee, but also on the profitability for the products you purchased. Did you charge a project management fee? Are you charging for travel time, for your assistant? Now, let's say, gee, you were not as profitable as you need to be. You're not at least 40% profitability on the overall job, which is what you need to be in order to be profitable and stay in business. And stay in business, not just be doing this as a hobby that's stressing out you and your whole family, right? If you don't do that post-job assessment, you never know what you need to adjust. You don't know whether you need to adjust your hourly rate. Do you need to adjust your profit margin? Let me just look, there's questions coming in. The 4 words Michele used when talking about the word investment. Oh, Might have to go back and watch
Oh,
the
is
recording.
that where I said something about, they can invest their time, they can invest their, let's say I said their time, their resources, their money. It's an exchange. I'm trying to think of what 4 words I used.
Hey, no, Darcy, you might have to
Time,
watch.
effort, energy, money. There you go, Bianca. Thank you.
What was it? Oh, yeah, time, effort, energy, money.
And money. And that is, I mean, that's what the exchange is. I'm glad somebody was listening to us, right?
I'm
My
so
brain's
glad.
already zoomed.
So glad that people are paying attention. Yeah, sometimes we need to walk around with microphones as coaches and we couldn't remember exactly what we say. Time, energy, effort, and money. Perfect. Let me just go back. Does 40% profitability, oops, lost it.
Expertise, absolutely.
Time and margin on product. Yes, overall profit for the job needs to be at 40 to 60.
Minimum of 40%. And
that's the minimum.
Right.
Right? If I'm in business and I'm making a 20% on each job, I'm not keeping the lights on. I'm struggling every month. Think about it, guys. You want to be able to expand in time. So that means sometimes you have to hire people to do things. If you need a new computer, you don't want to be going, oh my God, I can't afford a new computer. And now my whole business is slowing down. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. You want to do additional training. You want to do additional coaching. You want to go to market so you can continue your education. Yet you don't have enough money in your profit account to do that because you're not checking. You're not doing anything we said in the first 5 tips, basically, right? You want to make sure that you are profitable. So that was my tip number 5, is that post-job assessment. So you can make tweaks to your business model and start working your way up to that profitability.
So let me say this about that 40%. I'm going to just reiterate here because I'm very conscious of these things being very confused in the industry. This is a 40% gross profit. That's what you're doing when you're measuring the job. You're not looking at the business as a whole. You're looking at a job that Nancy's referring to, looking at the investment, the exchange with a client, and saying you need 40%. Here's the other part of that. Now, this is going to get technical for 1 second, but I think it's worth saying. A 40% gross profit when you're looking at the job usually means, if it's at 40%, that you did not charge 66.67% markup on all product. Because if you've got time in there, your time is coming in and is a factor that contributes to that gross profit margin. I know this is a lot. So I'm just saying, I've got lots of clients, and I don't mean to scare anybody, that have a 40% gross profit margin as a rule in their company, and they're still not profitable because you have to manage that money throughout the rest of the business.
Right.
So if they're out spending it all over the place, as I say, driving it and eating it, then they're still not going to bring home a salary. But it's the best starting point for a healthy business is that 40% gross profit margin that Nancy and I are both suggesting to you.
Right. 40% gross profit margin on each individual job.
Right.
Minimum.
And
then, of course, a ton goes into how you run your business, like Michele said. There's so much more.
40% gross profit margin, if you were to break it out, would be like a 66.67% markup on product. If you were doing product alone, that if you were consistent and you did, let's just say 67% markup, you would end up with a 40% margin on product. Time, if it is a straight drop through, as Nancy said earlier, it's time, it's profit. There's no expense, associated with it directly. All it's going to do is kick that profit margin from 40% to 60%. It's going to kick it up.
Right.
But if you are using that to build your profit margin, then that means you're probably marking up a lot lower, like your 20, 30%, which is what's going to get you in trouble. Okay. Listen, when your markup is lower than a restock fee, that should get your attention.
Say that again.
When the markup that you're putting on a product is lower than the restocking of that product, it should get your attention. Restock fees are 25 to 35%. So if you're at 25 to 35% restock fee, but you're only marking up 20%, you're already in the hole if anything has to be returned. Okay.
Absolutely.
So just don't go there.
Don't go there.
So let's move on to the next one. And mine is start with a value discussion, not price. And this fits back into that investment conversation and going in and talking to the client. And here's what I believe. I believe that your clients are going to buy based on what you talk about first. So if you come in talking budget and money, you have told them that that's the type of business that you run, and that's what they want to go to. Sometimes they're going to pull you into that conversation because they're money conscious. And you're going to slow that conversation down and say, you know what, money's really important, but I want to talk to you about the investment that you're making. I want to talk to you about the value that I'm bringing to this project, that my company is bringing. I want to talk to you about value. And if you can get an agreement on the value that you're bringing and that they appreciate that value and respect that value, they're going to be willing to pay for it. Money becomes secondary or tertiary in the conversation. But when price is the very first conversational topic, that means they don't really care if you're the best. They don't always care that you're educated. They don't care that you're keeping up with safety standards. They don't care about any of that. And is that really your ideal client? And I would suggest that for most of us, that is not our ideal client. Our ideal client appreciates our time, our effort, our energy, our money, our expertise, our education, our collaboration with those others in the design field, and they are willing to pay for all of that, not a lamp. The lamp is just a piece. It's just a commodity piece. They're paying for all. They're paying for us to be able to create this dream space environment, and we have to be able to bring them into that dream through our conversation. And when we do, money just, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not discounting that. It's not most important. They will pay more to get what they want if you can lead the conversation that way. I mean, I do the same thing in coaching. If somebody calls and just says, what does it cost to coach with you? I'm like, well, what are you looking for? Because does it really matter what it costs if what I have is not even what fits you? Why do we even need to have that conversation?
Oh my God, I have this conversation.
We don't need to have a conversation on what it costs if what I have to offer you don't even need. Let's first just decide, is this what we need, and what do you need, and how can I work with you, and how can I help you? Then let's talk about the investment for me and the investment for you. So this happens everywhere, not just in one industry. It crosses industries, right? It's the value of going to buy a car. They've got 3 on the lot, the low, the mid, and the high. And if I see the value in the high, the price gets less and less important. If I walk in and it's different.
Yes, I'm sorry, I cut you off. You're not selling yourself as a personal shopper.
This is not a commodity. We should, listen, we're in a luxury environment. And I know that some people don't want to hear that, and they want to be designers to everybody. Even that is luxury. Even that is luxury. We think they all need everything we have, and I'd like to think they need what we have. But in the true sense of the word, and when you look at us across all nations and all peoples, we don't. So it is luxury. So let's just treat it as luxury. Treat it as boutique. Because what's happening is we're in a luxury environment selling a boutique product and service as a commodity, and it's killing us.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a luxury item. People can choose to do things themselves. But you have to sell yourself, like Michele said, on the value of what your years of education or years of experience or both, your trusted suppliers. Those took years to form those relationships and find trustworthy contractors, window treatment people, flooring, lighting, right? Your team is part of what they're paying you for, right? And I really do think that a lot of designers let the client dictate to them what they are worth, rather than leading with what you're saying. Lead with your value. You know, I have everyone do this exercise. Write down everything you're capable of doing at that consult. If we, again, it's such a big conversation. We could go on for days, and we do.
And then I make them write down and why they should buy from you. Why are you best suited to do it?
Right. And when they write down every single thing, they really, sometimes you guys think, well, what I do isn't really that special. Anybody can do this. Well, guess what? No, they can't. Or do they not want to because they don't have time? And, that takes some looking at the time now. So I want to be conscious to wrap up, and we can take more questions.
Okay.
So the next thing that I say is do what I call the desire sales formula. right? This is a formula that I created, but you guys have heard it before. It's the flow of the sales conversation. So if they're calling you for the first time, you're trying to get them into the paid consult. And once you're in the paid consult, then you're just trying to get them to the next step. So how do you do that? You listen to what they want, right? Why did they come to you? What is their project? And you just listen. And then you try to get a little bit further explanation. And I ask why this is important to you now. That question, getting further explanation, first is discover, E is for explanation. I can also be for the emotion, right? E for emotion, E for explanation. The emotion behind why they need what they think they need, right? Oh, well, my daughter's getting married and I want to be able to have the engagement party here. Or the one I always love to use is my kids, I'm empty nest now and I want the house to look like I never had kids. My spouse finally released the funds. I've been bugging them for, the last 10 years. They're finally letting me do the kitchen. We're getting ready to move and we want to spruce up, right? Whatever the reason is, I had a big leak in my kitchen, so I figure this is the best opportunity. You want to get them to that explanation, that further explanation as to why they want to do that, because that puts them in the emotional state.
It's the driver.
Right. Now, S is for solve. You want to solve the problem for them. This section, you don't give the price. You just say, I have the perfect next step for you. And you paint the picture of what it will be. I have a 90-minute to 2-hour consultation that I can come in your house, and while I'm there, I will be able to do the following things. And I'm shortening it because it's a webinar. And then you say, then the I is for involved. Now, I have not told them the price yet, by the way. I have not told, I solved it. I painted the picture of what I can do for them after listening to what they need and why they need it now. Then I'm solving it for them. DES. I is then, how does that sound? Right? Now you've said I can come into your house. I'll spend an hour and a half there. We'll go over. I'll be able to pick out colors, let you know what countertop would be best, like whatever it is that they said they needed, your consultation will solve that for them. And then you're going to involve them and say, how does that sound? And of course you made it sound perfect and you listened to them and you repeated what they want by when they want it, that this would be the first step. So they're going to say, that sounds great. Now you hit the R, which is reveal. That's when you reveal your cost. Excellent. My fee for the consult is $450, but like I said, it's 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I guarantee you, I will save you time, money, or mistakes going forward, whether you go forward with me, yourselves, or someone else. So make sure you have your pen and paper handy. Really, you charge for your consultations? Absolutely. Because like I said, my information and how giving I am at my consults will save you time, money, and mistakes. How's Thursday at 2 o'clock? Somehow my people who are on are going to know. I always use Thursday at 2 o'clock for some reason for the consult. Now, if you have expressed your value and use this desire sales formula, which is my tip number 7, use the desire sales formula to flow them easily into the next stage of your process, they should say, sounds great.
Right.
Because you've gotten them excited. You've heard what they have to do. You've gotten them emotional about it. You've gotten them excited about solving their problem. You've gotten them involved in the conversation, and now you're presenting a solution. So why would they not say yes? It works. It works beautifully. If anyone wants to weigh in on how beautifully that works, if they are using my desire sales formula, that's my tip number 7. Use this formula to get your people to the next level. It's a really basic sales formula.
It is a great one. You know, I do a very similar thing. You find their pain. What is their pain point? What is their driver? You help them agitate it a little bit so that it comes up and they get that emotional feeling of why they want to move away from where they are to something else. And then, like you said, with the solve, you paint the picture not only of what it could be, but how you are perfectly suited to get them there. That's the value conversation that I was talking about before price. It's the same type of thing. And once they've gone on this, they have to connect the emotion and the logic. If they can connect the emotion with the logic is the solution. The emotion's how they feel about it right now, kind of and how they want to feel about it on the other side. You can get all that moving in the same direction, and then you work your magic to let them know. That's where you have to be confident. You got to be cool. You got to be calm and collected, and you have got to be professional. You got to be buttoned up and professional.
Yep.
You don't have to be you've got to be where they can talk to you and open, which is what I love about your desire funnel, is because you're connecting with them in multiple points all along the way. Like you said, all right, by the time you get to the end and you reveal the price, it's tertiary. They're like, fine, sign me up, let's go.
Exactly. And I realized I forgot to give the last E because someone asked, and what's the E? The last E is for excitement. Excellent. I cannot wait to come to your house on Thursday at 2:00. I'll be sending you an information email that lets you know what the next steps and how you can prepare for me to be coming to your home.
Right.
Right. It's the excitement of getting them to that last step. And of course, and this is another whole conversation, but I'll throw it in, make sure you bill them in advance to secure their spot on your calendar. Don't wait till you get there. Don't wait to the end and say, okay, our consultation is over. Here's the bill.
It just makes it so awkward.
Woo, makes it so awkward. So, okay, recap. Let me just recap the desire. Go ahead. You go first. And if we have time at the end, we'll recap the desire, which is someone asking me. So you're number 8 and the final tip.
Okay, the final tip is to know your company financials. And I know that we left that to last because it scares off most people. But listen, I know that is not what most of us want to do, right? It's just not. I'm nerd. I love it. I seriously will be on that island alone. I know it. I've already made preparations, but I'm just telling you, you have to know your financials. So by knowing your financials, it starts with knowing your time, knowing your price. You've got to know that gross profit margin. You've got to know what goes into the gross profit margin. And then what I believe you need to know is you need to know how to look at those documents. Number one, you need to prepare documents. So if you don't prepare them, the bookkeeper or the accountant needs to. At a minimum, an absolute minimum, I would say that monthly, you need to look at a profit and loss, which is an income statement, and a balance sheet. I mean, that's just the 2 very basic minimums. And if you don't know, number one, how to prepare them, if you don't know how to look at them, if you don't know how to keep up with them, you're going to have a really difficult time assessing if your company's profitable, assessing whether Nancy, you mentioned it earlier, you're going to want to grow your business. So we're pricing for long-term here. So if you say, I get this call a lot, and I'm sure you do too, hey, I'm thinking about moving out of my home and into a space. What's that?
Yes.
Hey, I'm thinking about bringing on a design assistant. What is that going to take? I'm thinking about adding this to my business. What is that going to take? And there is absolutely no way to figure those numbers out if you don't have the numbers for where you are in front of you, and if they can't be trusted. So I'll have some people say, oh, I update my financials once a year when I do my taxes. That's not enough. You can't adjust. You can't move. Or I look at them once a quarter. Okay, but once every 3 months, that means you're waiting 3 months before you can steer that boat if it's going in the wrong direction. I want to know at the end of every job and at the end of every month if I need to make a 1-degree course correction. Because if you can direct your course or change your course a tiny bit when you start getting off, it is so much easier than having to do a full course correction because you waited. And sometimes when you wait, there's no correction. Yeah. And then you're talking shutting down, bankruptcy, getting out. And so I'm just a big proponent of know your numbers. They literally, it's like all of it. Once you know it, once you see that list of everything you do, and then you see all your numbers, it's actually very empowering. So people who tell me they hate it and they're scared of it usually come back and they'll tell you how much they love it. I'm hoping somebody will write in there, like they wrote in, they liked your desire model. If you've done anything with numbers and you've learned that they help you, shout it out. Don't leave me here hanging. But I think you have to know your numbers.
Yeah,
and it's not the sexy side of business. It's not the sexy side, but it's the side that allows you to be sexy out there with the window treatments and with the furnishings and with the rooms.
That's true.
Everything else.
As a CEO, as you're growing to be more into the CEO of your company and not just a worker bee, that's one of the most important things, what Michele is talking about. Understanding and knowing your numbers. And yeah, you're right on. I get that question all the time. I'm thinking about hiring somebody. I want to move out of my home. Do you think I should? And when I say, are you profitable? Do you know what your profit was last month or the month before? I get the blank stare. Not really. And that is something you have to know, or you're going to take that leap, and next thing you know, you're going to be like, why am I broke? I felt like I had a lot of money in the bank,
Right.
but your money is not sorted properly, which is another whole conversation that we can't get
I want to
into.
hit on this for just a minute. Jeanette, I want to just applaud you for saying, I think I'm afraid to know my numbers. And I want to say to you, you're not alone. And I know what that fear looks like. The fear is either I don't know what to do with them when I see them, or I don't want to have to deal with them when I see them. It's usually the two that I see. But I'm going to tell you, getting it out of the dark and removing that fear. As creatives in this industry, you all work with numbers all day, every day, with scale and proportion, with how to put a room together. It is all math, whether you recognize it as that or not. But I'm telling you that if you will just say, I'm willing to work through that fear, it will put you in that CEO, that power position. So now you can put your company where you want it instead of waiting and letting it all happen to you. And there's nothing worse than seeing it too late. It's just not.
It's so true. All right, guys, I know we went over a ton here today, and between Michele and I, our knowledge is just vast. So we tried to hit on, when we were trying to figure out which 8 things to give you the tips on, these are the 8 things that we talk about, but there's so much more to know running your businesses. So we each have an offer for you today to take it to the next level if you're struggling and if you feel like you need help. So Michele, you want to give your offer, and then Kaden will put the link.
Sure. So my offer is, I've created a course called Understanding Your Financials, and it is an online course. And in this online course, I mean, I'm starting at the basics, so not meant to, overwhelm anybody, but to give you what you need. What is bookkeeping? What is accounting? What's cash accounting? Accrual accounting? How to read a profit and loss? How to read a balance sheet? What are they telling you? How can you use them? The next part is how to create a company budget, how to create cash flow, how to monitor your financials, what to look for, when to look, and then I even teach you how to find all of it on your tax forms, because it is more important these days. The accountants are not digging into all of your numbers in a lot of cases. They're taking the numbers that you give them and putting them in their documents and sending them. And so as business owners, we sign away that we are agreeing that those numbers are correct. And so I'm showing you how to take all of your internal documents and look if you are a sole proprietor, an S Corp, or an LLC, and I'm showing you all those documents and how you can track the numbers to see where they are and where they're coming and going. And so it's self-paced and it's online, and I do have an offer. It's Nancy 10, and you'll be able to get 10% off if you come through here to take it.
Thank you for doing that for the people who are on here today. I really appreciate that. And let me tell you, so Monique said it's a brilliant course, highly recommended. So for those of you who are on the fence, I'm assuming Monique has taken the course and she knows that it has changed the way she looks at things. So in addition, repeat the code. It's up above, Britta. It says it's Nancy with a capital N 10. And again, this will come to you in the replay. We'll make sure we have these links. So in addition to what Michele is offering, I also am offering you guys a reduced cost strategy call, right? I help interior designers and other creative entrepreneurs grow their business, make more sales, kind of get over their fear, charge more, find the words around making your business more profitable. It is 50 minutes, 50, of straight coaching. There's no sales pitch here. Right? It's literally, get on my calendar. I do charge for it. It's well worth it. And as I just taught you guys to say, I'll say the same to you. I guarantee you, I will save you time, money, and mistakes moving forward in that one session, and it's well worth it. So thank you everyone for being here. Was this helpful today? Let us know if you had a couple of light bulb moments, and I'm sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions. I just want to be very respectful of everyone's time. You're welcome, Katie. You're welcome, Leslie. Open my eyes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, okay, awesome.
Well, Nancy, I loved it. I enjoyed hanging out with you.
I enjoyed hanging out with you too. I think we'll be doing future collaborations. Yep, we have so much more to talk about. Thank you guys. Confidence booster. Good. I'm glad. You know what? All of us do some things really well. And sometimes we don't do everything well. Really, who does, right? I mean, I don't do everything. And you said know your numbers and what all they mean, I'm thinking, I kind of do, but maybe I don't, right? There's always more to learn.
Right.
So there will be a replay. I know there was one question, the Desire Sales Formula. There will be a replay. This is supposed to be streaming live on my Facebook page also, Nancy Ganzicall for Business Coach. And Michele, you're going to share it.
I am.
On your business page as well. So guys, watch the replay to go back and listen to anything else that you may have missed. And again, go off and have a great Tuesday. Is it Tuesday?
It is.
It is Tuesday. Have a great day. Thank you, Michele. And guys, we will talk to you all soon. I hope you take advantage of both our offers. Bye.
Bye.